Hey guys, it's Griff of the Four Horsemen. I'm bringing to you today a update of my Synchron deck. I got some new cards that allows me to help the deck, along with new cards that are coming out in Extreme Force that if I can get my hands on some of them, it'll help the deck a lot. But this is what I have currently, and I hope you enjoy. So let's get started. Starting off with the actual Synchrons, we have 3 Junk, 3 Jet, and 1 Quick Draw. And 1 Quick Draw. These are the Synchrons we use. They're the best Synchrons. While I am a fan of like Unknown, it doesn't help this version of the deck. Junk, he's good. He's your normal monster to he's your normal summon. You get the level 2 or lower, you sing, good card. Jet Synchron, you want to see this guy as often as you can because he is a good link material. He's also good for synchro summoning, and he's a good level 1 quick draw. This version of the build doesn't actually use quick draw a whole lot, so I come down to 1 because he's good, but for what this deck wants to do, he's not that good, which is basically have enough materials for link summoning and then going to your synchro, your big dragons in your synchro. So yeah, I run 3, 3, and then 1. Next up, 2 Doppelwarrior. I bumped this down to 2 because you don't need it as much, but you still want to see him in your hand. I might bump him to 3. I haven't decided yet. It requires more testing, but I like him at 2. I see him often enough that when I need him, he's there, but he isn't working. But I'm still testing, so I might put him to 3. Haven't decided yet. So that's it for the Doppelwarriors. Next up, for your main playmakers, 3 Armageddon Knight. This allows you to send Level Eater and Destrudo to your grave. A Level Eater, naturally, you need him for link summoning, and you need him to go into your Sohayas for your Gofu when you draw him. It sucks that Gofu's at 1, but there's nothing you can do about it. But you still want to run 3 Armageddon Knight because you can also send your Doppelwarriors if you need tokens, and overall he's just a really good card. So yeah. Next up, this is a personal choice. I run 2 Blackwing Decay the Ill Wind. I was originally using only 1 of him, but I decided to put him at 2 because he kind of replaced Gofu, or I guess he's kind of like a worse Gofu, because he can still go to Sohaya with Level Eater, but you can't special summon him inherently, so he's not as good as Gofu, and you don't get the tokens for link summoning. But he's what we're using right now until Gofu goes to 3. So yeah, you want 2 of him. Next up, I run the Predaplant engine. I originally had two Lone Fire in here, but I decided to cut them because I felt like they weren't really needed, and I could use the 2 slots for something else. But honestly, this engine you can choose to use it if you want. I still use it because it's good for getting out link materials because it's 2 monsters, so that's 1 step to Deco Talker or Skulldie if I can get my hands on him. But you can search out your Brilliant Fusion, which I added in here. So yeah, really good cards. Next up for your 1-ofs, you run 1 Level Eater. He's at 3. Most people typically run him at 3. I bumped him down to 1 because I just felt like you don't need to see. You really only need 1 to get the job done. You can send him with Armageddon Knight, you can send with Foolish, you have a chance of sending with Tuning, and I just feel like 1, I might bump up to 2 for a later card, but I shall talk about that when I get to it. Next up, 1 Gofu. You run 1 because he's only at 1. If he was at 3, you run 3. He is absolutely amazing for this deck. I knew it was inevitable that he was going to get bumped down to 1, but I was really hoping it wasn't, but alas. So yeah, 1 Gofu. Next up, 1 Glow Up Bulb. You run 1 of him because you can only use his effect once per duel, and he's a good level 1 tuner. Not really that much to say about him. Next up, 1 Distrito. He's good. You definitely want to run him because he can special summon himself. The life point cost is hefty, but if your opponent dies before that matters, it doesn't really matter. You don't really want to see more than 1 of him because he can be bricky, but you mainly want to send him to the grave. You typically don't want to see him in your hand, but he can work if he's in your hand. But yeah, only run 1. You can run more if you want. I just personally run 1. Next up, 1 Dandelion for token manipulation, and that's about it. 1 Trick Clown. He's good, and you use him for Brilliant Fusion. And 1 Lazuli for your Brilliant Fusion. I don't use Garnet because I feel Lazuli works better in this deck for 3 main reasons. 1, she's a level 1, so Junk Synchron can bring her back. 2, she's an effect monster, so you can use her for Deco Talker. And 3, she can be used for Synchron Formula, and I feel like her level manipulation is a bit easier than using Garnet. But it's up to personal preference. You can use Garnet if you want. I just personally prefer her. So that's it for the monsters. Next up for the spells, I'm running 3 tuning because it's a Synchron deck. You want to see 3 tuning. It's absolutely my opinion, one of the best searchers for an archetype. So yeah, you run 3 because you can. Next up, 3 Allure of Darkness. You got a ton of darks in here that you can use for Allure, Father, and sometimes it hurts, like if you're forced to like send your Jun Synchron or your Allure, or I'm sorry, your Lovelier. It doesn't happen often, but it can, but the benefits definitely outweigh the risks because it's just an amazing card. Next up is a card I'm currently testing. I might cut it. 2 Pod Desires. I recently took these out, but then I decided to put them back in to test. For draw power, I might cut them because my biggest issue with it is, well, if I banish my Love Leader, then a lot of my plays are not really there. But then I also thought, well, if I open up with my Gem Knight, then my Brilliant Fusion is useless. So yeah, so banishing Lovelier is probably the worst card you can banish in this deck for this. But still testing, and I might cut them, but it will require further testing. Right now they're working fine. Next up, your 3 Brilliant Fusion. It's just an amazing card. Seraphonite is an amazing card. I don't think it's broken enough to warrant getting hit on the ban list. But yeah, just all around amazing card, and it works really well in here. Next up, you run 2 Twin Twister for back row, and the discard is not really that important because a lot of your monsters you want discarded. Next up for your 1-ups, you run 1 Rhoda because it's only at 1, and if it was at 3, I would be so happy. 1 Foolish because it's really good in here. Send whatever you want to the grave. 1 Rogeki for board wipe. 1 Soul Charge, because it's stupid good in here. And for the last card, 1 for 1, because it can get your Lovelier, it can get your Jet Synchron. That's it for the main deck. On to the extra deck. I'm running 1 Quasar. I decided to take out Cosmic Blazar Dragon out of here because I felt you really only have the resources to summon 1 of them, and I decided I'd rather defeat my opponent than play around with them, I guess is the best way I can say it. So yeah, 1 Quasar. Next up, 1 Trishula, because I finally got my hands on a Trish. Summoning him and Quasar together is hilarious, and you can make him really easily in this deck. So yeah, 1 Trish. Next up for the level 8s, I'm running 1 Crystal Wing and 1 Omega. Omega is good for when you don't really have an optimal way to get to your dragons, so you can disrupt your opponent, and also you can get him out of the link marker by banishing him. Also, you can recycle your he can recycle cards for you banish from Pod Desires, and recycle your Jet Synchron, so that's always good. Crystal Wing, because it's Crystal Wing, it's one of the best synchros. So that's it for the level 8s. I'm running 1 Ancient Fairy Dragon for field manipulation, and you just want to run this to get back to help your plays more. You mainly just use it for its special summon effect, but it's a really good card. Next up, 1 Stars Charge Warrior for draw power and a good level 6. You can go into Crystal Wing with this afterward if you want, or go into Quasar. Next up for the level 5s, 1 Hyper Librarian, 1 Jet Warrior, and 1 Excel Synchron. Each of these serve a purpose, and they're each really good. Librarian, for draw power, obviously. I've found that you really only need 1, so even though he's at 2, I don't run him at 2 because you don't need 2 with him, I guess is the best way to say it. Jet Warrior, because he's good, and he's amazing. Excel Synchron, because it's another Synchro tuner, so yeah. For the next 2 level 5s, 2 Sohaya, I bumped this down to 2 instead of 3 because of Gofu getting limited, and he's still a good level 5 you can go into, but you don't see him as often as you want now with Gofu limited, but he's still a good level 5, generic level 5 regardless, and yeah. And then for the last synchro, I'm running 1 formula. I bumped this down to 1 instead of 2, mainly because you really only need 1, and extra deck space, the extra deck is tight enough as it is, so you have to really choose carefully. I normally love putting this at 2, but because of space, I really can only afford to put 1 in. Next up for your link monsters, you're running 1 Deco Talker and 1 Proxy Dragon. Deco Talker will become Skull Deep when I get my hands on him, and Proxy Dragon will become Needle Fiber when he comes out. So yeah, these are just here because I don't have any other link monsters good enough yet. But yeah, these will change when I can get my hands on Skull Deep and Needle Fiber if he ever shows up in the TCG. And then the last extra deck monster, your Gem Knight Seraph Knight, for your Brilliant Fusion. So that is it, guys. That is my Synchron deck profile. When I update it more, I shall give you another update if you want. Be sure to drop a comment telling me what you think and any suggestions you want. And don't forget to subscribe and like the video. So see you guys later.